Hey guys, my name is Gabe and this is episode 30 to Let's Make Rust. So in this episode we're going to be making a simple tooltip. So it does have a couple problems, such as showing up right away when we open the inventory, but that's going to be a really simple fix that we're going to fix next episode. But as you can see, it does work and we have an offset and all that crazy jazz, and if we hit use, you can see we get a debug. So yeah, we're going to get into that stuff now. So yeah, enjoy the video. Alright, so to get started, we're probably going to want to make some sort of Tooltip UI. So in our inventory, we can make a empty object and maybe stretch it across the screen. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll stretch it across the screen. Why not? Okay, and we're going to make a panel. So panel. Okay, this is in slot. I want it to go to inventory. Inventory, it's already there. Okay. This is going to be called our tooltip. And in this panel, I'm going to resize it. So let's see, 50, 50. Yeah, that's way too small. So we're going to do something like 100 by 70, maybe wider. Whoops, 200, 150. It's up to you, just preference. Do it however you want. I'm going to remove this source image, so it's just going to be like that, and I'm going to give it a darker color, so something like this. I don't remember exactly how the one looks like in Rust, but if you really want to be on point, I would look up a picture on Google. I'm sure you'll find something. Okay, so this is going to be called background, and here we're going to have a few buttons. So okay, so on our background I'm just going to make two text. These are going to be our buttons. Okay, so I'm probably going to actually align them to the left and something like this, maybe to the Y 100, maybe less, actually 90 I think is a good one. I'm going to make this a white color, and this is going to be something like, let's see, use. I want to make it a little bit bigger, so something like 18. Is that the same size? No, okay, so 18 should be good. And I'll put it in the corner. So again, 90 on the X. And if we duplicate this text and make it something like negative 40, we'll do that. We'll make this say drop. Alright, so drop. So this is all we're going to have for now. I think this is totally fine for the moment. So I believe in Rust there is a drop down, or there is a drop button. Maybe not. I think you actually have to drag it out of the inventory, which we could do as well, but we'll have this drop as well. So you could do as many buttons as you want. For now we're just going to do use, so use button and drop button. Okay, so now we're going to have to make these work as buttons. So in our inventory script, I'm going to make a C# script called tooltip button. Alright, and we're going to open that up and do reload all. And we're going to have to use the event system. So using Unity engine.event systems. And we're going to do iPointer enter handler. And I'm going to do control, I think it was shift plus comma, something like that. Oops, okay, I did that wrong. What was it? I want to know actually. Oh, control plus period. So, and then implement interface. Do we need this using? Or system? Oh, that's for this throw. Okay, well we're not going to need the throw. Okay, so let's see, what else do we want? iPointer enter, and we're going to want to iPointer exit handler. So I'm going to implement that, and I don't want to use system. Actually, we're going to need system later for our actions, so we'll just leave that in actually. Sorry. And okay. So for our button, we're going to do onPointer enter, and I could give this kind of an effect. So we'll do private void or private. Should we do like an outline effect? Let's see what that looks like. So use button, and then I'll add an outline to it. Outline. So when we go over it, it should enable an outline. I guess that's fine. Maybe we could make it like bigger. So something like 180. Is that even making it bigger? Yeah, no, it's not. That would be the font size. So 18 to 20. So we'll affect the font size. That's fine. We'll do a using Unity engine.ui, and we're going to do a private text of the void start. Text is equal to get component text, and on pointer enter, we're going to do text.font size is equal to 20. Actually, we'll make these booleans. So public float, or I think these are integers actually. So integer font size start is equal to 20. Public int font size add, which is equal to 2. Actually, I want start to be 18. And we're going to do a private int font size new. Font size new is equal to font size start plus add. Okay, so we're going to do text.font size is equal to font size new. And instead of doing new, we're going to do start. So this should work if we attach it to our buttons that we just created. So we're going to do tooltip button. And if we mouse over these, you could see that the text is getting bigger. So I like that little effect. It just kind of, it's nice. Also the panel, I want it to be a little bit higher on the alpha value. So we're going to go to our background here, and I'm just going to make this something like I don't know, 220. So 225, something like that. That might be too much. 200. So you could kind of see through it, but you kind of can't. So I like that. Okay, and we're going to hide our tooltip. Okay, so we're going to hide our tooltip. And let's see how we're going to do this. We're going to make it so that we use actions, which can actually pass methods, which is pretty cool. So we're going to do, if we right click on, say, a gun, and the tooltip pops up, we will pass what method we want into that use button. So when we press the use button, it'll call that method through what has been passed to it. So let's first make it so that when we right click on objects, the tooltip pops up next to it. Okay, so instead of tooltip button, I'm going to make a C# script called tooltip, and we're going to open up tooltip. Okay, and I'm going to make a public vector 2 called offset, and on our item object, we're going to, actually no. First in our tooltip, we're going to do a public boolean is enabled, or is shown, is false, and we're going to do a little update. Actually, instead of update, we can kind of save performance a little bit and kind of do a public void toggle tooltip bool enabled. So we could do if enabled is equal to true, else if enabled is equal to false, and I forgot to add that little equal sign there. We're gonna do, let's see, tooltip object. So we have to find our tooltip object. Wait a minute, we don't have to do that. We're gonna get our tooltip background, which is what we want. So our background right here could be hidden. Okay, so we're gonna get our game object called Tooltip object. I'll just call it Tooltip object, doesn't really matter. And I guess we could remove this is shown now. So if enabled is true, then Tooltip object dot set active to true, and we're going to copy this but make it false on this one. Okay, cool. And in our start method, we're going to toggle our tooltip and we're going to disable it. Okay, so now when we right click on this, and I'm debating whether I should make this static. Probably not. I'm not going to make this static. That's okay. So I'm going to, on our tooltip, we're going to do add tag, and I'll call it tooltip, and we're going to assign that tag, and I'm going to add this script here. Okay, so tooltip object. So we're going to get our background object. Okay, cool. And when we right click on our item object, so we'll get our tooltip, so private tooltip, and we're going to get, so find tooltip, and we're going to do game object dot find game object with tag, and we're going to pass that tag that we just created dot get component, and we're going to get the script. Okay, awesome. So when we right click onto, oh right, okay, I had a breakpoint here, I was just testing something. So let's see, and we're going to do I pointer enter handler, or what do we have? I pointer enter, I pointer exit, I pointer up. So what does that do? What is I pointer up? I believe, here, let's see here. I don't think I've ever used on pointer up, so I'll do debug.log on pointer up. So I'll go to here and I will click things, and we're not getting that debug. So, okay, anyways, I don't know. So we're gonna do, instead, we're gonna do on pointer enter. So instead of on pointer up handler, we're gonna do I pointer enter, and I'm going to create a private bool. So in item is false, on pointer enter in item is equal to true, and we're gonna have a public void on pointer exit, pointer data, event data. Okay, and now we're gonna have to implement that method, or that interface rather. So I pointer exit handler. Okay, so now we're gonna do inside of here, in item is equal to false. Now we're gonna have an update here. So we're gonna do a private void update. We're gonna do if input dot get key down, key code dot mouse 1, which is right click, which the right click is going to show our inventory. So let's see here, private void update. We're also going to have to make an and here. So we're going to do and we were going to make sure that we're in the item. So in item is equal to true. So while we're in the item and we right click on, while we're inside the item, we are going to show the tooltip. So tooltip dot toggle tooltip true. Okay, and we're also going to want to set its position. So when we do toggle tooltip, we're going to, how are we going to do this? Let's see. We're going to pass in a transform called position. Okay, and vector 2.0, I'll just do by default. Could we do that? Vector 2.0 by work. Let's see. We have to pass in a transform. So, oh right, derp. We have to pass in a vector 2 here called position, and I'll just call this vector 2.0. And inside our tooltip, or inside our item object, we're going to pass in our mouse position. So, event data. How are we going to pass this in? How should we do this? So we can't just get the mouse position, can we? So transform. So how do we see? Oh, okay. I think we could do input.mouse. Yeah, here we go. Input.mouse position. Okay. And we're also going to do here. We forgot to set it. So transform.position is equal to position plus the offset. So hopefully this works. Hopefully this will change the item's position. So when we right click, you could see that it is setting the position, but we don't have the proper offset, and we're getting this weird. Okay, so it is working, just now we need our offset. So I'll do something like with 50 on the X, let's see, 500. So you can see the offset is working. So you're just gonna have to play around with that. So I want to do something like 70 by 70. Will that be fine? Okay, that's high. Negative 70 I meant to do. And 100. And a little bit higher than that. And a little bit to the left. Yeah, so I'm just kind of playing with it. You could do the same. So I think that's pretty good. I like its position. Maybe just a tad lower. So negative 30. And there we go. That's perfect. So where we right click, it kind of makes that nice offset. So I'm just going to copy the component, and I'm going to paste the component value so it remembers. And now when we right click, you could see that it is creating that tooltip. But those buttons don't work yet. And also the tooltip is kind of still there when we click outside, which is very annoying. There's no way to make it go away. So we're probably gonna have to make sure that it's outside of the inventory, and when it's outside of the inventory, we'll make it so it goes away, but we don't have to worry about that just yet. Okay. So now I guess we could pass methods into our buttons here. Okay. So let's go to our tooltip button. Now we're gonna do it's gonna kind of check for a press. So on pointer enter, we're gonna do private bool is inside false. So let's see here. Is inside is equal to true, and is inside is equal to false once we exit. And we're gonna do what we kind of did before. So we're gonna do private void update, and we're gonna do if input dot get key down key code dot mouse 1, and is inside is equal to true. Then we're gonna call the method that gets the method from the item object. So how should we do something like this? We're gonna call its let's see, we're gonna call its action method, right? And this action method is going to take in an action. Okay, so it's gonna take in an action. We're gonna call this action, and then it's gonna call action. Really simple, right? And instead of doing that, actually, we'll do a public action. So maybe I'll call this action method. I don't know, this is really weird the way I'm doing it, but action method is equal to action, or vice versa, actually. Action. Yeah, okay, I think we did that correctly. No, action is equal to action method. Or maybe instead of doing all that, I'm doing a little bit of I'm doing some crazy things here. I'm kind of thinking of how we can do this so that it works for us in the best possible way. So we can probably do something instead of we're going to do set method, or we could do set action, and we're going to set it here. Okay, and then we're going to just call it. So maybe we don't need this. Okay, I'm overthinking this by a lot. I really don't have to be. So we're going to do set action, right? But now it needs to take in an action. So we give it that, right? So we're going to do, again, public action method. I know this is probably confusing you. We're going back and forth. This might be a really confusing episode. I'm doing like a lot really quickly, and you might be frustrated, but I'm trying to think of this on the go, which is a really bad idea. I don't know why I'm doing this, but we should take in the action method. Okay, great. So I know how this is going to work. We're going to click. So it's going to check here if we left click, so mouse arrow, and we're inside. It's going to call the action. So I'll just call this set call action. And it's going to call the action method. Okay. And over here, set call action is going to take in an action, which we assign here, and then we call it. So this is going to be a little strange. We're going to have to, in the item, from the item object, we're going to have to actually set the action method every time we left click here. So that'll just make it a little bit easier, and that'll ultimately make it a little bit easier. So everything should be the same. The buttons should not have anything. Okay, so let's see here. This is fine. I'm just curious, wait, what happens if we make this a serializable field? Can we do that? Serialized field. Will we actually see, can we see it here? Yeah. No, we won't. Okay. That was just serializable. Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this. I was just kind of curious if we could somehow see the action. Okay, so in our item object, this is where we set what these buttons do, right? So for our use button, we might want to use tags for these. So in our item object, we're going to set the method. So I'm going to make very simply a private void, and this is going to be called debug test or something. It's going to debug.log. We passed methods and used our tooltip, right? So now we're going to do, have to set our tooltip buttons. So we're going to add a tag, and this is going to be not layers. What did I do? Tags. We're going to add a tag. So tooltip button 1, tooltip button 2. So the use button is tooltip button 1, and tooltip is tooltip button 2. I'm going to actually rename this to button 1, button 2, so that we can actually change the name from use to something like eat, for example, right? So tooltip, now we're going to have to get the buttons. So in our start, we're going to also get the buttons. So tooltip buttons up here. Tooltip button 1. Tooltip button 2. Tooltip button. Okay, so we're just going to copy this exactly, but we're going to change the ones from ones to twos. Okay, and now we can actually change what the buttons do. So we set up this whole system where all now we have to do is worry about this. So this is when we right click on item, right? Then we're going to toggle our tooltip, and we could very simply set which buttons to do what, and we can also access their text and everything. So this whole confusing thing that we've been doing is simply for convenience. So now we could do tooltip button 1 dot action method is equal to debug test, I believe. So debug test. Okay, so hopefully if we did this correctly, and we are having errors, tooltip button 1 is equal to game object, define game object tag tooltip button 1. Did I do something wrong? Okay, they're the same. They are applied. Everything's fine. Find game object with tag dot get component tooltip button. Huh. Interesting. This is weird. So yeah, I see. It's trying to set something that doesn't exist as well. So hold on, let me just try to figure out what this problem is, and I'll get back. Okay, so I figured out the problem, and the way I fix this is I just disabled in the start method where we toggle the tooltip. The reason this is happening is because, so if we have this enabled, I'll show you what's happening here. So when we get the error, you know, we get our infamous null reference exception, and that is because our background here for our tooltip is being disabled first, and then we're trying to find the buttons. And you can't get a component off a game object that's disabled, which I don't really like. I don't know why. I don't know if there's a way to bypass that. If anyone knows how, just let me know. That'd be kind of cool. It's strange that you can't, but I guess it kind of makes sense. So by simply disabling the tooltip like this, and or stopping the tooltip from not showing up, like, yeah, we could see a tooltip here, but now when we right click on our objects and hit use, we get our awesome we passed methods and use tooltips. It's not going to do anything for drop, but give us an error. Okay, so the reason we have this error is because action is null. So we're gonna have to fix that simply by doing if action is not equal to null, right? And so we're gonna do, why is this grayed out? Delegate invocation can be simplified. Is that why? Oh, it's trying to. Okay, let's try this again. If it's not equal to null, drop. Okay, so it does work. I don't know why it grays it out. I think it's because it kind of wants me to simplify it, but I don't want to at the moment. We'll just leave it the way it is now. So, okay, I guess we could return something as well. So else debug.log error, or maybe just .log calling unassigned method. So that should take the gray away because now we have an else statement, and that'll kind of let us know when we're doing something stupid. Okay, so we can't, let's see. So we could see the tooltip now popping up, but now we could see our glorious method. We passed methods and used our tooltip, which is what we wanted. So in the next episode, we're going to make it so that we could actually use these buttons to do gamey things, such as you know, actually using our weapon, so maybe equipping our weapon, so we could change the text. If we go to Apple, we could do eat apple, and we'll do this using enumerators. So enumerators just make things simple and make everyone happy. So I do want to fix the tooltip from how it shows up here. So I guess we could kind of, let's see here. What happens if we go into the script execution and we add the tooltip? So we go to the tooltip here, and that should get called later. I don't know if this will fix it. yeah. I don't know yet because I still have to enable this. If we hit play, we probably are going to get errors. Yeah. Okay, whatever. We'll fix that next episode. It's not going to be too hard of a fix. It's just an execution order thing that we could fix pretty easily. So, in short, we made basic tooltips pop up. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure to leave a like so that I know that I'm doing a good job. So if you have any questions, just obviously make sure to go to the comment section below, and if I don't answer, I'm sure someone else will, because I really like that. I like how people are helping each other in the comments. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I do read all the comments, just not saying I don't. So yeah, if I don't see it on YouTube, you can try Twitter or vice versa. So yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and have a good one.